I want to begin by saying what a shame we have with a Labour government who brought in austerity 2.0 and with it more cuts. The first demand needs to be a huge national demonstration in London against Starmer's austerity 2.0. No if, no buts, no austerity cuts. But also, looking at the TUC Congress motions, it's a deep sense of shame we do not see an NHS motion calling out the privatisation of the NHS. And that should be front and centre of one of the demands. Stop the privatisation of the NHS, protect our health service, because if Farage gets in, he'll finish the job and bring an American health system in. We have got to be clear that when the health workers are out on strike, we're front and centre with it, but we need to support the campaign against privatisation and the destruction of the NHS. And there are NHS campaigners at the back of the room. Take leaflets and take them into the Congress. This week, the government got royal assent for the Universal Credit Bill. And in April next year, new claimants who are found unfit for work will find that they will have their health element reduced by £217 a month. The government's also brought in what is called the severe conditions criteria now, which means you have to meet a descriptor constantly all of the time and for the rest of your life to be found not able to work. There aren't many disabled people under that system who will be found meeting that criteria, even though they are too unwell to work, and will face conditionality and the punitive benefit sanctions. And we have to push Labour back on this. But what we're seeing now with Stephen Timms, and we can't trust Timms with a banana or a bar of chocolate, is this heinous review, which basically means he set up a panel with a chair who's not a campaigner, and he wants to have 10 disabled people sign non-disclosure agreements, meet 6 times over 6 months to decide what happens with personal independence payments for millions of disabled people. Now we need to flood those applications with disabled people across the country to say we're not going to sign non-disclosure agreements, we want real co-production. We are the ones who know what we want, what we need, not 10 disabled people telling us what we need and what we should have. But let's be clear, the government are not going to stop with the cuts. Just over the last few days, Starmer changed the head of the department and skills department, as it's called now, with Pat McFadden. And we need a clear message to him that we're going to resist the government even further. And they're bringing out the white paper on further cuts. You're going to see the abolition of universal benefits. The end of contributions-based benefits will impact on millions of workers if they're found they can't work anymore. And they won't stop there. They're going to bring in social insurance, an American social insurance with pension companies. And that will leapfrog into pensions. And make no mistake about it, they're looking at it. So we need your support. Now there's motions 38 and 39 on Tuesday around disability benefit cuts. We need those motions to pass unanimously. But we don't just need motions passed. We need your support out on the street. We need you to join the DPAC trade union group. We need affiliations. We need money to keep campaigning, because without it, we can't push the government back. And we've shown over the last 15 years and the last 6 months what we are capable of when we mobilise and we organise and we push the government back. Because if it wasn't for us now, we wouldn't have got PIP taken out of the Universal Credit Bill. It would have been a PIP and Universal Credit Bill. And we need to organise. But I also come with this message. We are seeing the rise of the far right and reform are not for disabled people. And it's shameful to see 29% of disabled people thinking of voting reform. My message to you is don't. They hate disabled people. They hate trade unionists. And what we need to do is mobilise and organise against racism and the fascism that we see. Yesterday, a disabled person and a fellow Unite member was openly attacked in the street in Northampton. Attacked, punched to the floor and kicked, taunted. The police said it was a targeted attack because he supported the counter-demonstrations against the people seeking asylum. He was totally standing up for refugees and got attacked for doing so. And here is our message to Starmer and Farage. We say it loud, we say it clear, that refugees and asylum seekers are welcome here. And on the 13th, and DPAC will be on the march, and I'm speaking at the anti-racism demo next Saturday, we need to give a clear message to Farage and his ilk, that wherever we see division, we mobilise and we be unified in the response to the fascism we see on our streets. There are flags outside the conference centre, outside this building. There's 4,000 delegates at this Congress. Give a message to the racists and the fascists. Get those flags down, replace them with pride flags and say wherever we see the rise in nationalisation, which then becomes fascism, we're going to put a stop to it and make sure that the far right is put down into the dust. Thank you all very much for having me in solidarity.